Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman show. I am so delighted to finally have this guest on my show. She is the author of Inviting Angels into Your Life, Kathryn Hudson. Welcome to the show. So just for our viewers, I mean, you are an amazing companion for people walking their spiritual path. But what does that look like? How does your work unfold in the world?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm delighted to meet you and so excited about your oracle cards, fire and angels combined. Could it be better? So happy to be here. And well, we end up expressing the light that we're meant to shine naturally. And the next steps open up one after the other. So currently how I'm expressing is a lot online. So I work in French and English primarily because I live in Paris and I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. I work a lot in the States and I work anywhere they speak French in the world. So what does that mean when I say work? I accompany people who are interested in aligning with who they are truly. And to do that, I propose the tools that most worked for me. And that still continue to work for me because we continue to align with higher and higher expressions of source. So angels, of course. And we have that in common. We're in the same family there. So we don't have to do everything alone. There's help for us. Boy, oh boy, when I realized that, life changed. So guiding people in opening up their channel, opening to the highest expression of themselves, and why not with the help of angels is one thing. I also work with Reiki, which is Reiki is, the translation is universal energy. So it's source energy, it's love. And kind of like brushing our teeth. I love to use Reiki on my own vehicle, and so I do propose that around me. I work with crystals also, and I know that you read the book. So there is a pretty incredible story about a pretty incredible moment in my life.
Can you tell the story for the viewers? Because I mean, these are the moments. I mean, I think this time on the planet now, we need more of these miraculous, hopeful moments, don't we? You know. So anyway, I'm going to hand over to you, Kathryn. You need to tell the story.
And I'm going to try to tell the story short because I'm Irish. So you know.
Oh yes, the Celtic blood. I'm the same.
I have my cup of tea.
The blood.
But this was 25 years ago, so this is a long time ago. I was in New York. I was working as a banker. That was my path. I wanted to get to France, so I was working as a banker. But so I wasn't in my element. We can imagine, since this is my element, I wasn't in my
different element. From where you are now, right?
But the alignment brings joy and disalignment brings emptiness. So I was feeling the emptiness, being a young person in New York City. And Irish to boot. I was filling the emptiness with clubs and partying and doing all sorts of what seemed like fun, but was more really grasping at catching waves to try to fill what was empty. And so when you do that, you don't always arrive at work on time or in good form or even arrive at work. So they had decided to send me into a branch, on the street. It still exists. It's across the street from Grand Central Station in New York. And they put me there and they said 3 months on time and present for 3 months. And then you can, come back in circulation. My job was not facing the public. I was working more at a different level. So a couple days in and again, not feeling too great, but I have to get there. I have to be there. So I was there and in the job, and decided that, okay, I have to be here, but no one says I have to work. You can imagine the mind frame of such a person. Oh, I have so much compassion for myself back then. But anyway, I was hiding out from clients. I was trying not to do any work that Which worked until about 10:30 in the morning when a woman walked in off 42nd Street, and she did not go to the tellers, and she did not go to anybody else who said, may I help you? May I help you? She came directly at me. So I got up and tried to hide looking for a file. I didn't want to work. And she sat down on my desk to wait for me. Well, where I grew up in the Bronx. When somebody affirms themselves, stands up for themselves like she just did, you got to respect that. So I said, all right, fine. I'll work. So I got up from the drawer I was looking through for nothing and turned around and put a fakey smile and extended my hand. And I said, welcome to the bank. I'm Kathryn Hudson. How may I help you? You know, giving her the real meaning with my eyes. And then she said something that quite simply changed my life. And it touches me every time I tell this story. She said, no, I'm here to help you. And she did not take my hand. Instead, she placed on my hand, and it's right over there, a crystal, an amethyst crystal. She placed it in my hand, my outstretched hand, waiting for her to shake it. And she said, that will help you with your addictions. For the first time in my life, I had always a sharp tongue. It helps when you grow up in the Bronx to have a sharp tongue and a sharp mind and a little bit of a capacity to cut. And so this was maybe the first time in my life I had no words. There was only silence. My mind, my ego, my mind was trying to figure out what was going on. And then finally, she's trying to sell it to me. This is the best I could come up with. So I lifted my head to say, excuse me, we're serious business here. And the woman was already at the door. So she came into the bank in the middle of Manhattan, 42nd Street, came directly to my desk. And once she had delivered the stone and the message, she left. I still get chills. And so that was a moment.
Her again.
I hope with this coming out in English that if she's still out there, if she's still out there, maybe she'll contact me. That would be lovely.
Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, that's proper angelic intervention stuff, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and it was just perfect. People ask me, of course, if that was an angel, and I said, well, either it was my guardian angels that really got tired of getting me out of trouble, because guardian angels, as you know, only intervene without our request if it's life-threatening and it's not our time. And I did put them through the ringer a few times. Or, and this is what I feel in my heart, it was somebody like you and me, like all of us, really, but with such a clear connection that she was able to be a real angel in disguise on the earth in a very tangible way that changed my life and has since changed the lives of others with whom I share that story. And then we know these stories are going all around. The angels are quite active these days, but that's really what transformed for me. And given that I had that experience, it's not surprising that I also guide people in working with crystals and angels so that we can ground and integrate our experience around the earth. So there are a few, I work with a lot of people finding their life purpose. This is my 4th book that's coming out in France in the spring, and maybe eventually out in English as well.
I want to ask you, I'm itching to ask you about the French connection. Did you grow up speaking French? What's the French? Why the French pull? So
not. So no, I grew up in an Irish neighborhood in the Bronx. I have an Irish passport, so we were recent immigrants. There was not one French person in the neighborhood, but when I was 6, I took my sister is 10 years older than me. I took her French book and started teaching myself French and decided I was going to go live in France. And it is uncommon for something like that to happen. So people were like, Paris, where's that?
Past life, I think major past life there or something.
This is it. So of course, now I have a little bit more visibility. There are two things operating. One is that it's related to past life karmic healing. And in connection with that, this is where I was meant to come. The completion of my opening happened within 2 years after I got that crystal, and it happened here in France. So,
which, as we know, is Mary Magdalene territory, right?
And the whole trail in the south of France. It's so inspired by that energetic and being a disciple. What does being a disciple mean? Being a lover. What does being a lover mean? Being love. So these very powerful, there's a confluence of very powerful energies here in the hexagon here in France. And so it's quite interesting because I have the great fortune to operate in my the language of my heart and the language of my birth. So I feel very, very lucky. And in fact, now I have 3 passports because the French just said yes to me.
Oh, amazing.
But isn't it almost that frontiers, boundaries, and country limits seem to be less and less interesting as we move forward? So
I agree. They're melting, or they're almost becoming more obvious now that we've had all the lockdowns and things. But I think eventually they're just going to melt. They'll open up. I mean,
they will. The melt is a perfect word. I love it. I love it because it'll be the warmth of love, the warmth of the heart that will dissolve those barriers, which were always artificial.
And I think over here, I think Brexit it had to happen to make people more aware of those borders as well. I think it almost needed to happen so that people would really realize what those borders mean and how divisive it can be.
Oh, I love that. I hadn't thought about it. Not being physically in the UK. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we're just like, woo, now we're over here, just a little island on our own again.
And how does that feel when the world is so vast and connected and unified? I always compare the frontiers of each country. It's a little bit like the fleas are fighting over the dog. It's like, no, that's my tail. The line is exactly here. Oh yeah. It seems kind of silly to me. But
we were having a conversation about a similar thing before we came on, which we won't talk about on camera, but this thing about people feeling they need to own things or need to own the earth. And I mean, we know, like, the indigenous just saw themselves as having a relationship with Mother Gaia, not owning her, not carving up bits of her to get their hooks into.
Yeah, it's funny because I grew up in New York, and so the island of Manhattan went for 28 beads. And it was taught to me as ridiculously naive and childlike, and they were not evolved, these people. And then it became clear to me after a time that it was the other way around. That the full vision and the full view, they're like, okay, they just gave us 28 beads for nothing, because there's no owning what preceded us and will be still here after we're gone. Sacred relationship rather than possessions. What I do love about this particular period is that it has both diminished and augmented consumerism. So those who are ready to let go of that, who fill themselves in other ways, are finding simpler and simpler life being more and more attractive. And those that are still not connected to the depth within them, which is just waiting for them, but not yet connected, so feeling empty, are moving more and more quickly. These buying cycles have become more rapid. So the division between the two movements is clearer. And it's what you're saying, the stark evidence of a situation like Brexit. I think it's finding its echo in many, many ways during this time. Super well orchestrated, angels, God.
Oh my God, it's always so beautiful. I mean, I'm looking, even your own story. I mean, I always talk about how I was already in training for this time now. I mean, my life collapsed, in 2013. I lost everything, and I'd already been working from home at the magazine, and like literally stripped back and then kicked full time into my healing work. It was like, right, that ship sunk, go. And I moved from one timeline onto a whole new timeline. And this is now happening for humanity. And I see it, the guidance I get around this whole thing is that Corona is a halo, and it's an massive angelic intervention. It's a crown. It's a Corona of light.
Of course it is.
So it's like we've been heading as a collective right down the wrong path. Really, too much consumerism, too much greed, too much pain, and the divide of wealth. But I think in order to get us back onto the right path, all of these things need to become really obvious to us. We need the wake-up call. So yeah, so I want to let's go back to after you received that crystal and what started to unfold in your life, because you were then essentially, I guess, an undercover light worker that you didn't realize you were. And then
I think there was always a part of me that knew I was. I had unique experiences when the bank had sent me to different countries. I met somebody who gave me a box of stones on the street in Rio in Brazil. I mean, there were, remember, there were reminders of this, but there had been sufficient pain in my life at the outset that I was effectively doing, no. I was avoiding it. There was not a small dose of anger in me. And so I wasn't yet ready. But this stone scared the crap out of me. It was that day, I remember I would look at it and then I would put it in the drawer and then I would take it back out and then I would hide it again. And I think for about 2 years, that was the effect of it. I would connect with it and then I would say no. It was like a dance.
Well, it's so physical too. You can't ignore it. It's not like she said something to you that you could then rationalize away. It was a physical object.
No, that's it. And now I really do want to show it to you. May I take a second?
Yes, please. I was going to ask you. I love you can't avoid it. It's like the stones are the most material physical thing on the planet, aren't they? And it's frozen light, so it's
wow. This is it's an amethyst and it's got a phantom inside, which I didn't know. The phantoms show growth.
I can see a face in it, Kathryn.
Wow. So this was not a small rock to be given, and it was before crystals were everywhere. So yeah, it really was kind of a physical, hey, we said something to you, you got to listen.
Subtle as a brick through a window, really, wasn't it?
It was absolutely. So after that happened, slowly things did shift and I would find the stone again bit by bit. And the big thing that happened was I was offered a job in Philadelphia working with French corporations. So it took me way far away from working with people who came in off the streets, but brought me more into alignment with France, which was part of my soul path. And naturally, the sorts of things that I was doing to fill emptiness, I didn't need anymore. So any kind of addiction is a space filler until we move into alignment. And as I was more and more in alignment, these things fell away until they fell away completely. So thank you to the universe, to Source, to Gaia, to that angel that walked into the bank. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And of course, all I want to do is pass that along. So insofar as possible, to be that angel for other people, to express that light in the world is my great delight. And I'm not a banker anymore. Which for people still in that world, there are wonderful people that are very helpful in that domain, but I was not one of them. I was simply not.
But your light was obviously needed there for a time, and then, you know, you kind of do the work and then move on.
But yeah, so I was holding I've got a lot of rocks in my house.
Oh my God, seriously, like, I don't know if you could see all mine.
I love it.
Like a crystal shop. I love it. And reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, I so need to interview this woman. Honestly, I mean, our stories are very different, and all our stories are very different, but there's so much resonance in it, and I just love it. And I love the interconnectedness of it. It's wonderful. What I love about the book is that you really are down to earth. You're a human being. There's none of this, you know, angels aren't always light and fluffy. They'll kick our butt if we're not on our path, won't they? And I love you keep it really real in this. You talk about your own experiences, and you do it with such a practical eloquence. You know, we're talking about such magical, and for a long time what humans have thought was just like mystical and inaccessible. Sorry, I used to be an editor, can you believe? Inaccessible, but you make it so accessible in here, and you know, anyone can do the exercises. I love it. And I love the way that you talk about opening your channel and the clairvoyance, and you just step by step. It's so easy to do all of this, and your beautiful personal stories that really bring it down to earth. I think your warmth comes through in this, and you're also, you know, you really do show your authority on the subject, the fact that you've walked your talk, which I love. Yes. So let's just go back to how you started then stepping into becoming the healer and the conduit that you are today. What then, how did you come out of the bank and into your work?
Yeah, so funny thing, banks like it when you show up for work. So since I began to do that, then I was offered a job in Philadelphia, which was oriented toward France, where I would be going back and forth from the States to France. And every time I was here, I would walk down streets and know them, though I had never been there. So there was a lot of this karmic stuff going on. And and it wasn't but a couple of years after the rock lady, when I got transferred to France. In fact, they offered me the job, and they said, well, our hub is in London, so you would be in London and working with France. And I said, no, if you're going to, I rolled the dice there, but I said, no, if you're going to send me to work with French companies, you need to put me in France. And they agreed. Not a surprise, but a little bit of a surprise, but not a surprise. And so once on the ground here, I started meeting people and being attracted to the expos and, you know, oh, what's this and what's this? It was really a series of events that happened very rapidly once I got to the ground where I was supposed to be planted. And so really for myself, I would say in a very short time, the country changed and there was a divorce, and then the job went away. And all of this happened. So often the structures that we built around us collapsed. And I know you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, where do I go now, and what do I do? And so during the time after basically the bank changed their strategy, I will tell you, a year beforehand, I was starting to get fired up with all of these things, and there's shamanism, and there's angels, and there's meditation, and everything was finally blooming, and I was allowing it. I was not trying to block it anymore. I was really enjoying it. So I said, oh, okay, so I'll quit the bank. And right away, no, wait a year. Okay. I'll wait a year. A year later, no, completely. A year later, the bank said, sorry, we've changed our strategy. So we have to close down the shops outside of London. And so you can either come back or rupture. And so it was a rupture, but it was them that broke the contract and not me. So they had to pay me. So down to the very, this is why I love angels. It is down to earth. This is not so that we leave this earth plane to go get help by being fed above, although we can do that and it's wonderful. I don't say opposite. But the idea is that the angelic realm can help us with tangible steps here. They freed me up. So for 2 years, I taught enough English to have healthcare coverage, which is important if you're American. Anyway, well, keep an eye on that. But I traveled the world and studied. I studied shamanism in South America. I studied angelic healing with Doreen Virtue in Hawaii. I went where my heart guided me and got really focused on this aligning. And what a grace. What a grace. A couple of years afterward, people started contacting me. And I was not intending to do what I do. If I had known that I would be doing what I do now, I would have run to the hills. Oh my goodness, I would have headed straight to the bar.
We don't choose this. I just want to say to people watching this, we don't set out going, I'm going to be an angel healer. You really do get kicked in the butt.
No, it's you get pulled into it. And so I had done the angel therapy practitioner training with Doreen Virtue. I did it in Hawaii. So I said, okay, well, I'll go see. I like her books. We'll see how it feels to be in her presence. And if not, they've got dolphins. There's water. I don't have to. But I did stay, and I did do the follow-up work that put my name on her website, but I never thought twice about it. And then people started calling me because her work is translated into French. And they would say, I would answer, hello. Yes, this is Kathryn. Yes, that's me. I did that. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. No, I did that training just for myself. But good luck.
Kathryn.
For like 3 months, I would say up, no. And then one morning, because this is how they talk to me, particularly when I'm stubborn, I woke up, oh, I'm supposed to say yes? And I'm like, no worries. Next time the phone rings, I'll say yes. 20 minutes later. Hello. Yes, this is Kathryn Hudson. Yes, that's me on the webs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, you would like an angel session. Wonderful. Oh, you want to set up the appointment now? Terrific. Okay, let's do that. Terrific, bye. And from that phone call on, I was like, oh, man, what am I doing? Heart pounding. And so the night before, I was like, okay, just make sure that this person receives whatever they need, that I can't screw anything up. And until the person came through the door, my heart was pounding. And then the person walked in, and I remember like it was yesterday, I'm still connected with my very first client, Elizabeth, beautiful. And the moment she walked in the door, everything happened just now. And she was crying, and I was crying, and I'm like, okay, I'm not a banker anymore. Yeah. This is what I'm meant to be doing. This is where I'm meant to be. And then slowly, word of mouth, and then people asked me to teach. And this time I didn't say no. I said yes. I said yes, but yes, but just wait. And I waited until one morning I got a download of basically everything that's in the book. That's what I started to teach. I taught that in small groups throughout France and also in the US for 10 years before putting it all into a book. And the idea for the book had been before, but it wasn't ripe. And now is the time. So the reason I tell my stories in those books is to recognize that not everybody who works with angels is an angel.
I love you've worked with everyone, haven't you? I love that.
The idea is really to bring that energy down into the earth plane. And after knowing my stories, if I can come back into alignment, really anybody can. Because I was pretty much skewed.
Hey, well, I just got to say to our viewers as well, you've taught priests. Come on, the angels are even getting you to teach the religious teachers. That is just amazing.
Yeah, and he did his Reiki master level with me, as well as all of the angel classes. So I never walked away from church. church was an important resource for me when I was a child. It was in church that I felt surrounded. Well, I felt surrounded in many situations, but the elevation that was present. I would come away from communion, because I grew up Catholic, with tears streaming down my face. I was living it. And then I could see the difference between my experience and the experience of others. So church for me has always been nourishing, although I think even as a child, definitely, even as a child, I knew to separate what was of humanity and what was spiritually good and true and nourishing. Yeah. The very first time.
The beauty of those churches, even being in the buildings, they're built on sacred geometry, aren't they? So they do align you to those energies.
Absolutely. And one cannot invoke the name of Jesus or the name of any of these masters without having a space imbued with that. It's very, very rare that I've been in a church that made me leave, that just didn't feel like it had that light. Everything is darkness and light. But yeah, so those spaces can nourish us. And I really think that knowing that we're all in this kind of together, but very much separately, and honoring our particular path, knowing that we will always be attracted to our next step. And that's not just for Alexandra and Kathryn, but that's for everybody. That we're always, the knock on the door is always there. What's my next step? And honoring our next step and not comparing our next steps to the unfolding of other flowers. Yeah. So exciting, isn't it, to be alive?
I think it is. And my next question was actually going to be, what would you say to people who at the moment obviously are feeling a little bit lost and all at sea? I mean, we obviously in many ways we all are, but what sort of message of hope would you give to people right now?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you asked that, because just a note that on my Instagram account, I'm giving one message a day. And the messages are not for people who are already living in the Holy of Holies. The messages are really for those of us who are in the muck and the mire. And it is to help us with a focus of one day at a time, with one practice a day. But probably if I were to simplify all of that into one message, it would be listen, open, know that there is a knock on your door, the door of your heart. Your heart will always be true to you, will always lead you to the next step, more and more light and more help. Yeah, and you don't have to go it alone. So important, isn't it?
It's so important. And for people,
don't forget to have fun.
And don't forget to have fun. I love it. And just for people who might not have worked with angels before, how can they, in your way, in your words, how can they invite them into their life?
Well, the book details it, but the easiest and simplest way to do it is how to invite angels into my life. Invite them into your life. Simply your intention. We're children of creation, and we create. And the angels around us, the guardian presence that's been with us since the soul level of who we are, expressed the will to come into reality as the beautiful person that you are. The angels that have been there, they can't help unless we invite them in. The free will is a real thing. So a lot of angels are kind of like just waiting. And so from your heart, with whatever words suit you, be clear that you're inviting them in, and then pay attention to what happens. You will see signs. You will absolutely see signs. You will see signs that day, right away, if you pay attention. And know that those signs are for you. It's so funny. We know this, right? When you see a sign, the heart reacts first. And then the head gets to work. Oh, no, of course there are feathers, there are birds.
It is like having a personal joke with the universe, isn't it? You want to elbow the person next to you and go, oh my God, did you see that? And then you're like, oh, to them, they're probably just going to rationalize.
They're not going to feel it the same. It's not going to have the same impact. It's like your best vacation pictures. You don't want to really show them to anybody because it's not going to have the same impact. But effectively, the heart always knows when it's a sacred moment. And so when our head resists it, that's an excellent confirmation that we just lived through.
Yeah. Oh my God, I loved your story about the Coke can under your house with your dad's name on it. That brought tears to my eyes when I read that, because at first it's like, oh, what's, you're reading it going, well, what's that rubbish that's washed up against the hat? But then it turns into such a miraculous moment for you, and it's such a magical moment in the book. I love that.
Yeah, it really, really was. And because I mentioned hurt and anger and pain, and so much of that was wrapped up in him. So having that experience, and there was a wall against which it was lodged, the sand was behind, so it couldn't have come up from the beach, and there was nobody on the island. It was such a gift. And what I love about opening up, inviting angels into your life, and beginning to recognize more and more that there is so much help for us. It's moments like that heal something that before that moment was still kind of a little hardened, still a little bit, and then living through that moment, the magic of it washed all of it away. Thanks for bringing that up, because I just got to relive it.
It's just so lovely. It's so beautiful. I can see, and I don't know if this is your dad, but I can see the presence of a man standing behind you, over you. And I think there's a few, actually. I've got a few masters coming in as well. Somebody has a mustache. I don't know who that is. Quite a curly mustache. But there's a masculine, like a divine masculine white light energy coming through you, and it's absolutely stunning. I love it. And we were talking about Yeshua, obviously, but it doesn't look like him. I wonder if there's another master or guide coming through. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, the accompaniment is multifaceted, varied, and yet one.
Yeah.
But absolutely, when you brought up my father's appearance, right there.
Yeah.
So it's so healing, especially when our loved ones have passed, to be able to close, integrate, and move beyond what could have been limited interactions on the earth plane. Once the person is gone and sees from a higher perspective, and so often wants to ease pain or uplift. So when they say such and such is still there watching out over you, it's so often the truth. And I love that it can be expressed in tangible, physical signs, because that doesn't that comfort the head. The whole, I don't want to be a pigeon. I don't want to be taken for a fool. I don't. There's very much that. I mean, I grew up in the Bronx where we start off with doubt and cynicism. And I think doubt's an excellent place to start any of this. You have that as a ground floor. And so experience after experience, it is constructed the faith.
Yeah.
The opposite of what.
Yeah.
Yeah. The opposite of what the nuns would say to me when I would raise my hand with questions in school. Kathryn, what is it? What is it now? And then they would roll their eyes and say, you just have to have faith, child. And I knew even then that God didn't give us a brain so that we didn't use it. I knew even then that response was the best they could do, but it wasn't quite right. And then subsequently, that angels are very happy to give us signs because they know how difficult it is in the earth plane. And frankly, I don't need signs anymore, but I still am very happily receiving them because they're fun.
They are so fun. And they do. They sort of, It's like whenever you see like the 11:11 on the clock, or a white feather in the most random place, or it just gives you that lift. It's almost like an instant, whew,
Absolutely.
oh, yes.
Absolutely. We're here. We love you. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You got this. We got this with you if you let us. I get the 4s. So it's
I'm being given a
9:44,
nudge
8:44.
to ask you your take on this. I mean, I get a lot of requests at the moment in the middle of, well, while we record this, in the middle of the pandemic, when people are passing over, what can you do to assist that passing? What would you say to people?
I would say 2 things. One is to wish them well. So no sort of holding them back at all. So it's a Godspeed, it's a letting them go. And of course, that's suggested when people are physically still present, that we you know what, honey, you can go, I'll meet you later. The other is to why not with the help of angels? It's easier with angels, especially Archangel Azrael, who carries, who accompanies us, who's the light that waits for us, if you will, for that transition. But also, why not make the transition with them in a sense? That is, as we open more and more, we can travel between worlds. And if you don't have any experience of that, no worries, just imagine it. Yeah. Imagine that you're going hand in hand with your loved one to the pure light that is home for all of us. So it's letting them go, of course, but also why not accompanying them? Yeah, is what I would answer to that question.
That's beautiful. I would have said something really similar. I love it. And there's a lovely man called Raymond Moody, Dr. Raymond Moody, who's an expert in near-death experiences, and he's actually done studies and written about what he calls shared death experiences, and that it happens for many spontaneously. Their loved one is passing, and they go part of the way with them and see what they're seeing and experience what they're experiencing. And that is absolutely so beautiful. And so there's loads of evidence of these experiences. So as Kathryn said, yeah, you can just imagine it. Just imagine that you're traveling with them and seeing them off. Like when you run along the road, the platform with the train, waving someone.
That's it. That's it. Exactly. I love that image. What a beautiful image. Yeah, and instead of allowing the mind to say, well, I don't know how to do this, we know how to do everything already. No, good. Just to very simply, okay, I'm just going to imagine it. Imagining opens a door to other dimensions and allows us to flex our energetic and spiritual muscles in joyful ways. So yeah,
well, we're co-creating it, aren't we? Whatever we can imagine, we can create. So make it the most beautiful experience for them that you can, and then it makes you feel more empowered as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. In creating the most beautiful experience for them, we create also the most beautiful experience for us. So not believing in the wrenching that so often is a passing here, but just oh, a great image. So imagine we've got a friend in first class on a plane. We'd very happily accompany them, wouldn't we?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
What's it like up here?
That's it. Yeah.
And with lightness and with joy and with fun and with angels helping. These things are all doable. This comes from Richard Bach, Illusions of a Reluctant Messiah, but it's a phrase that's been with me forever. And it is, you're never being given a wish without also being given the capacity to make it come true. You may have to work at it, however. But yeah, it's that create, and the inspiration comes from someplace and be creative. And yeah. Flexing our muscles, our light muscles.
We can do it for our own lives, can't we? We can do it with anything. Like,
absolutely,
somewhere you want to be or a way you want to feel, you can imagine yourself into it and fake it till you make it, can't you? And as I say this, it's about to be 11:11. I love it. Well, in my time, I love it.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, Kathryn,
Wonderful.
it's
Thank
just
you.
an absolute joy talking to you. Just before we wrap up, can you tell people the other books that you have written, the other titles?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got 4 books out in French, and so Inviting Angels into Your Life came out last September, Findhorn Press, and Findhorn Press is also going to be coming out with, what a surprise, Discovering Your Crystal Family. That's going to come out this fall. The other 2, one of them is sort of biographical and explores many different modalities, and that'll come out in English subsequently. And then, of course, Life Purpose is the one that's coming out in French. It's the one I just finished. So what's available in English is Inviting Angels into Your Life. And I believe Discovering Your Crystal Family is early ordering possible on Amazon. But the other ones on Life Purpose, and then an overall exploration of many different modalities are to come.
Amazing.
And I can't wait.
Can't wait till they're all out in English. Fantastic.
Thanks.
And just
so, yeah, please.
Oh, sorry, honey, carry on.
No, it was just, so when looking for Hudson, Hudson, Kathryn is Kathryn. Yeah, a little special there, but.
And I think you're Kathryn Hudson 1 on Instagram, aren't you? I think it's
and the same on Facebook.
And the same on Facebook. And then what's your website so people can find you?
It's www.kathrynhudson.fr.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's going to transition to net at some point.
Brilliant. I'll make it easy for everyone. So I'll put all the links below in the comments, just so you know. And so people can find you there for your sessions and your workshops and everything else that you're doing.
Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of online, of course. I'm doing individual angel sessions. I'm doing also some individual workshops. So everything has been facilitated. Thank you. And I do 3 times a month. So 3 Saturdays a month, I do 1 evening of energetic gym workouts. So working with energy, how to work with energy. I do 1 evening. So this Saturday, February 13th, before Valentine's Day, we're going to be working with rose quartz. I'm speaking French in my head. That's like crazy. Like, how is that possible? So I do the crystal connection 1 Saturday, the Reiki or energy connection another, and I do an angel party once a month.
Oh, so, I love that. Angel party. I'm coming to one. That's amazing.
Oh, good. But the next one's the 27th of February. But on my website, there are the dates through March, and then I'll be continuing for a time, at least until things shift and settle. And there are moments of meeting up with people. When the group is small, we actually talk to each other, and when the group's a little bigger, we don't. But it's to work with people who have similar intentions. To connect more for ourselves, and of course that brings more light into the planet. So no prerequisites, just a curiosity or a desire, and come and join the fun.
Oh my God, I love it. Hey, my cards are out in French. They're going to be in French, so I'll have to send you a deck.
Or I'll buy one. Yes, please do let me know so I can share.
I'll show you. So the title in French, can you say this?
Le feu divin avec les archanges. So the divine fire of the archangels. Oracle thérapeutique. Who is the maison d'édition? Who is the publisher?
Trey Daniel.
And that's the publisher of my first 3 books.
Same publisher. Of course we're with the same publisher. But it's just the French language. I can't speak French.
Isn't it beautiful? So listen to this. Sortez la poubelle. It's beautiful, right? What did I just say? Take out the garbage. So this language it's so rich. I'm so excited that
my husband just took out the garbage just before you said that too. So you probably tuned into him. I was going, shh, Tony, don't make such a noise. I'm interviewing.
I love it. Could there be more joyful winking, nudging from
alignment.
I'm going to tell people about your oracle cards. I'm working on some. They'll be out in the future.
Oh, I can't wait
different.
for those.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That we learn to play with the divine is so important. But the fire, the divine fire of the archangels. I love the French title.
I love the
It's
French
just
title
beautiful.
too.
But so I'll have to contact Kathy Selena over at Chez Danielle to say we're friends. I know her.
Yeah, we're mates. You need a copy.
Yeah, yeah. Or I would be very happy to support it. But I will spread the word around me. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Angel.
Bravo.
Well, I am just so happy to connect with you, and yeah, and I love your book. I'm just going to show people this gorgeous cover. We were talking about the cover before, and I love this, the diamond light, and then the red makes me think of the Mary Magdalene energy and the divine spark and the groundedness of it as well, isn't it? It's like bringing the light and anchoring it into the earth.
Because
it's got rainbows and it's very crystalline, the cover, which is so your energy, Kathryn.
It was divinely guided and without it. So yeah, well, you know, these expressions come into manifestation exactly in the form that they're meant to. So one could say the same thing about the amazing oracle cards that you've come through it. And I'm looking forward to getting my copy, and I will let you know. But I'm so excited that they're out in French, so I can also spread the love.
Oh, thank you. I can't wait to see what you think of them. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Well, we can continue talking for days.
Yes.
we probably likely will. So we'll have to be to be continued. I think we'll have to get you on the show again at some point when the next one comes out. That would be amazing.
That would be lovely. We can discover our crystal family together.
That would be amazing. Well, I'm so honored to have you on the show. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Please like or comment or share the interview. Let us know what you think. And do get in touch with Kathryn, kathrynhudson.fr. And you'll find her on Facebook, Kathryn Hudson 1, and Instagram. And do check out Kathryn's daily messages to help support you on your journey. I think it's so needed at the moment. So thanks so much, Alexandra. Shine, 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 you crazy, beautiful, crazy now. That crazy light, that crazy light, that beautiful light that's your own and only you can shine. Seriously, so much enjoyed meeting you. Yes, we could go on forever, but we won't. We'll see each other again. Thank you. And thank you for watching. Au revoir. Thank you for everybody. Ciao, ciao.